Hello and welcome to the next edition of the CE Mark webinars. In this edition we've got a brief run through of the CE Mark Glossary. We hope to give you a quick reference guide to some of the common used terms in the CE marking directives. First term we've got for you is the Authorised Representative. An Authorised Representative is a legal representative that is nominated by the manufacturer through a contractual agreement. The Authorised Representative performs tasks on behalf of the manufacturer according to the terms of this agreement. An Authorised Representative's typical activities might include the storage and making available of a product's technical file. The next term we've got is the CE Mark. This term is commonly used to describe the assessment, documentation and marking of a product to show that it meets the safety and operational requirements of the European Union. The CE mark may also refer specifically to the image that is physically attached to the product. The CE mark must be of a certain size, it must be legible, visible and indelible, and must have its proportions maintained when reproduced. The next term we've got for you here is the Conformity Assessment Procedure. This is a process that allows manufacturers to declare a product is compliant. Generally, the higher the inherent risk of a product, the more stringent the conformity assessment procedure must be. In certain cases, products require assessment by a notified body. For directives published after 2008, the conformity assessment procedure follows one of the framework procedures documented in Council Decision 768/2008 EC. So moving on to Council Decision, the European Council uses decisions to give direction or clarity on particular aspects of European law. In the CE marking process, Council Decision 768/2008 EC provides direction on a common framework for the marking of products. In this decision, the detail of which conformity assessment procedure, what technical file documentation, and the format of the declaration of conformity is given and harmonised under what is commonly becoming known as new approach directives. So moving on to the declaration of conformity. This is a declaration from the manufacturer declaring a product is compliant with all applicable CE directives. The declaration includes information to identify the product to which the declaration relates, and the name and the contact details of the manufacturer or importer if it's different, and the directives the product is compliant to. The exact content of a declaration of conformity is dependent on the conformity assessment procedure that has been applied to the product. So next up we've got a Delegated Act. The European Commission publishes delegated acts giving direction for specific directives. Delegated acts are more specific than Council decisions and are not necessarily independent legal requirements. They are enforced under the directive to which they relate. Next up we've got directive or European directive. An EU directive is the legal document published by the European Commission on behalf of the European Union. It is not immediately legally binding, as the directive must then be translated or transposed into the domestic law of each member state. CE marking directives are used to provide the minimum operational and physical properties the product must meet in order to be legally compliant within the European Union. Moving on to distributor. A distributor is defined as anyone who distributes products sourced within the European Union. Distributors generally carry a reduced liability for the products they distribute, although they should ensure that the products that they distribute are compliant. Next up we've got the Harmonised Standard. Harmonised standards provide detailed manufacturing requirements and or test methods that, if adhered to, allow manufacturers to assume conformity. Harmonised standards are written to ensure products meet operational levels and physical integrity that is well above the minimum requirements of CE marking directives. Harmonised standards are the best way for a manufacturer to demonstrate conformity. If you look for the EN prefix to product standards, this denotes the standard is Euro-normalised and means it is valid across the community. All EN standards allow the application of the CE mark. Importers. An importer of products is defined as anyone who imports a product from a third country into the EU marketplace. An importer in this case carries very similar responsibilities to that of a manufacturer. It is important to understand that importers can be held liable for the products they import. Manufacturers. A manufacturer is defined as anyone who manufactures a product that is intended to be placed on the European member state market. This includes anyone who rebrands a product or significantly alters a product or has a product manufactured on their behalf. This includes products that are given away. A member state is simply any country that is part of the wider European community. Currently there are 27 EU member states to which the CE marking is applicable. So next up we've got the new Approach Directive. This is an EU directive like any other and must be translated into domestic law of the member state. New Approach Directives are directives that harmonise the minimum operational and physical properties a product must meet in order to be legally compliant across the European Union. They identify which type of products must meet CE marking requirements in order to be placed on the EU market. Next up we've got the notified body. A notified body is a recognised and regulated assessment facility that provides independent assurance of a product's conformity. Notified bodies are generally only required for high and very high risk products. Their involvement is dependent on the directive applicable and the conformity assessment procedure used to assess a product's compliance. A producer. This is a term that is not necessarily defined under the CE marking or the CE marking directives. However, it is a useful concept to use when understanding the obligation of different links in the supply chain. A body that imports or manufactures a product for use in a member state can be considered a producer. Producers must hold documentation that provides evidence a product is compliant, in this case a technical file. A producer must sign or be identified on a product's declaration of conformity, and the producer carries the liability for the product in case of a malfunction. Moving on, we've got the technical file. This is a dossier that documents the proof a product is compliant. Its content is dependent on the conformity assessment procedure applied to a product. For directives published after 2008, the technical file follows one of the framework procedures described in Council Decision 768/2008 EC. Understand there'll probably be countless questions, so if you feel you need to get some more information or you've got some comments on the content of this webinar, please drop us a line. Global legislation at element 14 is a regularly monitored email address, and there are also guides and snippets of the latest happenings in the legislative world from element14.com/legislation. Please sign up to the community and come and join the discussions. Thank you very much, and hopefully see you again soon.